everyone, Kevin Gallagher here with Gallagher Business Development, and today I want to talk about video editing software. Now, I'm sitting inside, like many of you today, all across America and all across the world. And since I'm sitting inside, I'm looking at all of the technology that I use, and I'm looking at my day-to-day processes and administration and all that kind of stuff, and trying to figure out what is the best way for me to market myself, let alone what is the best products out there for me to use for doing things like content creation for YouTube and social media and everything else. Which led me to take a look at the current software I'm using to produce my YouTube videos. Now, currently I'm using wevideo, and you're going to see that in this video. But there are other softwares out there that, from what I understand, are 10 times better. So there's going to be 3 different softwares we're going to be taking a look at today. The first one's going to be wevideo, which I already told you I'm currently using. That's what I use to produce all of my videos. The second one is DaVinci Resolve, which, thanks to this comment here, I got a chance to take a look at and download. One caveat I'm going to say is it's the free version, so it's not the full paid-for version that we're going to look at and compare. And then the third thing we're going to look at, which is super popular amongst the vlogging community, which is Final Cut Pro. And we're going to take a look at how that works, and we're going to compare the 3. And so I figured we may as well just get started, so let's go ahead. Now, the first thing I want to take a look at is a pricing comparison of the 3. Now, I've already pointed out that DaVinci Resolve has a free version, and that is the one that we're going to be taking a look at today. And the reason I caveat is because there are so many other options in the paid-for version, which I'm sure are fantastic, but the functionality and the user-friendliness of it is really what I'm going to be looking at today, and we'll be able to get an idea of the user-friendliness straight from the option there. Now, the other thing you're going to note is I'm running off of a MacBook Pro, but I'm not even putting iMovie into that option. I suppose iMovie is great if you are just a weekend warrior who likes to make fun videos for yourself. I can't stand iMovie. I'm sorry, Apple. I'm an Apple fiend, but iMovie is just not for me. In fact, if you love iMovie, comment below and tell me why, because maybe there's something I'm missing. So let's go ahead and take a look at the pricing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with wevideo. And the main reason, let me say this, the main reason that I am taking a look at this is because wevideo is subscription based. Does it do the things I want? Yes. Is it very limited? Yes. Even with, and you see the different paid options here, but with the one that I'm using, it does have very limited functionality. But what I want to point out here is I hate subscription services. I would much rather just pay a one-time fee and own it for good than pay every single month. So if you take a look here across the board, you have 4 different levels of subscription. The first one being $4.99, $7.99, $17.99, and $29.99. I know I just rolled through that super fast. I'm currently using this unlimited one at $7.99. And if you take a look at what I'm getting things like record screen and motion titles and all that kind of stuff, which is great. But one of the things that I hate about it is this brand management option, which you can see is new, and I've been asking them for this a million times. I want them to give you the ability to put in your branding color scheme so it always comes up that way. Currently, I have to manually change that all the time. But you can take a look at the different options they have. Now, in the grand scheme of things, the one that I would want the most, the one that would probably compare the most to these other 2 softwares would be the business option, which at $29.99 a month, you're looking at $359 a year. Now, currently, Final Cut Pro and DaVinci are less than that. So let's take a look at DaVinci Resolve's price. Currently, if you were to download DaVinci Resolve Pro, the full studio, as they call it, studio, from the App Store, you'd be at $299. Compare that to Final Cut Pro. Where are you at? You're also looking to a $299 for both of those options. Now, take into consideration wevideo, which is subscription based. The plan would be, like I said, what, $359.88 billed annually, and that's annual. So take that over the course of years and years and years, and you're paying so much more for wevideo than you are with the other options. And granted, you're getting some, let me take a look here at some additional things. From the perspective of the items that you're getting in both DaVinci and Final Cut, wevideo doesn't really stack up when you're really trying to produce high-end video content. So from a pricing standpoint, I always take things down to this one word, and that is value. What is the amount of functionality I am getting for the price that I am paying? And with wevideo, the value's not there. So the edge, based on pricing, is going to go towards either DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro. So, sorry wevideo, you lose round one. Let's talk about wevideo. wevideo is a phenomenal online cloud-based tool, and some of the positives right off the bat, extremely user-friendly. It took me maybe 10 minutes to figure out, and it takes me no time to cut a movie together. It's got a lot of great stock graphics, title graphics, moving graphics, things of that nature. It's got transition effects. It doesn't feel as professional. It works really well, but I don't feel like I'm a professional movie producer using it, whereas on the other two, I do feel that way. But it's very easy to integrate, and it also, another huge positive is because it's cloud-based, it's not taking up a chunk of your hard drive, whereas, for example, Final Cut Pro takes up a large piece of your hard drive. It's a big piece of a tech that you're using. So that is something to keep in mind. wevideo, cloud-based, you're not having that problem. Some of the negatives, you have to pay a lot to get the branding aspect, to be able to like set a branding type for yourself or for your company if you're making these videos. It's very important to be able to set those things. It saves so much time from a productivity standpoint. You don't have that. You're also very limited as far as like title options, and you do have some great title options. I use them all the time. All of the past videos you've ever seen GBD produce, those title options are from wevideo, but you're very limited. You only have about, I don't know, 24, 25, whereas if you go to Final Cut Pro and you take a look at their list of title options and 3D title options, there's a ton of them. You could get lost in it. I mean, you could create all kinds of cool titles and animations and everything right from the stock that they give you. It's great. I really do like it. And I guess the price would be the biggest negative, which we've already talked about, so we won't harken on that too much longer. Now let's take a look at DaVinci Resolve. A couple things right off the bat, some positives, and I wrote some notes down, so forgive me for looking down. Positives, there is a free version with no ads. Anytime there's a free version and there's no ads involved, that is a phenomenal thing. More pros, it's very robust. Even the free version still has a lot of options to it. There's tons of effects and title options. It feels more professional. There's a keyboard option. You can actually order a keyboard that plugs right into and syncs with the software, so you could do editing a lot faster right from that DaVinci Resolve keyboard. And one of my favorite aspects they had was a boring detector. It's actually something that can tell you if the clip you're showing might be boring people. I thought that was just absolutely unbelievable. Some of the negatives that I found, out of the box, not as user-friendly as the other two options. Also not a fan of the dual split view. That's just what I'm referring to it as. I don't think that's what it is. I prefer stacked. In order to get stacked, you have to go to the pay-for version. So in the free version, you don't necessarily have that as an option. You have to go to the studio version to get that stacked effect. And I'll show you what the stacked effect is in a second. Another negative is there's not so much stock as far as like background effects and so on and so forth. There are title options and special effects, but I could not find, and maybe that's in the studio version as well and just not in the free version. So again, you've got to take my comparison between the DaVinci option and Final Cut Pro with a little bit of a caveat, because it's not going to be an exact comparison, being that I'm taking the full version for trial of Final Cut Pro X versus the free version of DaVinci Resolve. And the third one I want to talk about is Final Cut Pro. Now this is the one that most online vloggers and YouTubers are using to create content. Every time I do a search to see who's using what, Final Cut Pro X seems to show up. A good example, and probably the biggest example, would be Casey Neistat. Last time I checked, he's using Final Cut Pro. Is it glitchy? Yes, there are glitches to it, which would be a neg, but otherwise, it's extremely professional. Just like DaVinci Resolve, it is very professional. Your options of making clippings using the mouse makes it so that you can have it down to the tiniest millisecond. I mean, on wevideo, I'm able to do a lot of great cutting and editing. Messing around on Final Cut Pro, my cuts are exact. I mean, perfect. And you can hear it as you're rolling through, and you can make that razor slice. It's awesome. I highly recommend it for that perspective. You're paid up front. There's no subscription. Huge pro for me. $299 paid up front. Let's go. Text options, transitions, gigantic. There's so many, and they're awesome looking, which we'll take a look at. And lastly, it integrates with Apple tremendously. I mean, it really does integrate. It'll ask you for access to certain things, and once it gets access to them, for example, your photo library, any photos that you're saving to your computer, you can easily pull up right inside of there. You don't have to then drag and drop or do that. It's already in there. It's already set up. So that's a huge thing. I got two negatives for you. One being no screen recording. I tried to use screen recording. You actually have to use QuickTime, which is native to the MacBook Pro. So it's easy to find, easy to use. Whereas on wevideo, you can actually just click a button, it starts recording, and you can do all of your screen, microphone, and everything else right from wevideo. That aspect of wevideo is awesome. You can't do that on Final Cut Pro. And there's a lot of trial by fire. It's similar to DaVinci. You need some training. You need some time to just dig into it. Now, I was able to figure it out faster than I figured out DaVinci, but there's still quite a bit of try this in order to figure it all out. Just saying, that's what it is. Now, I think the easiest way for us to really compare this and take a look at the options is to do the same thing. So we're going to add content, drop the video into the editor, add a sound effect, add a title, and trim a piece of the video just to see the ease of use between all three so that you can see exactly what you're in for. So let's take a look. All right, so we're going to start here with wevideo. Give me 1 second. Just kind of get things set up. And right off the bat, let me just show you around wevideo. When you come on, you have a dashboard view, which takes you to all of your current and past projects that you're working on. You do have this theme section, but again, you can't set things to branding and so on and so forth. And when you first sign in, this is basically the screen that you see. You're able to then, it has this find stock images. That's a pay for. There is a try version where there are some stuff in there you can use. I don't recommend it. I would sooner just get an iStock iStock photography license and pay that way. But you come into My Media and you want to import a file. You can drag and drop to drop it in, or you can, in fact, I'm going to show you that. You could drag and drop to drop the video in like this, which is nice, easy, and clean. It then takes time to go ahead and load it in. Now, this video clip was from a video from last week. I'm hoping it doesn't take that long to upload. One of my issues with wevideo is upload speed. A lot of that comes into your internet. Now, my internet is actually Blast from Comcast. It should be a lot faster, but for some reason, it just takes a while to upload into wevideo. All right, so this has now gone ahead and loaded in. It again is the view shot. This was a 30-second clip, and it took about 4 minutes for it to upload into wevideo. Not a huge fan of that. Not a fast upload into wevideo. Slows down production, slows down the creative process. Don't love it. But now that it's in, this is as easy as it is. Take that file, drag and drop it down. Let's say you want to clip it and you want to remove this section. Right on this guide tool, if you want to call it that, you have your scissor. You click it. So again, we're trimming the video. We've added content. We've dropped the video into the editing software, and now we've gone ahead and trimmed some of the video. To delete what you wanted to trim off, you drop it here. Let's say you want to mute this and have music over top of it. You just double click to open up your settings for that segment. Open up your volume portion and you can mute. If you want to zoom in, you can scale in and scale out. So that is very easy to do. If, let's say, you shot it in a vertical but you meant to in a horizontal, you can easily change that. And there's a lot of things. You can speed the clip up if you want from inside of here. You have a lot of options as to what you could do. Okay, so we save changes. We've muted it. Now we want to add a title. So you come up into text right here. Now you can see there's text, there's audio, there's transitions. These are all, there's a bunch of stock music in here, which is a great thing. I used to always use their stock music. Now music's become a big part of it. I love finding great beats to add to it, so I actually pay for my music now. But you come into the text view, and first thing, let's add a title. Again, you drag and drop it in to edit the title. Okay, change your color scheme if you want, change the size. You do all that kind of stuff from here, hit save. Then let's say we want to just add text over top. You have different, it has a nice, great stacked view. And if you want to add more, you just hit this plus and you can add as many stacked video components as you want. So it's really cool. Again, you double click. Kevin Gallagher. Again, here's where you can change your branding, size, everything else on this. Hit save. And then from there, we can hit play. So you can see just how fast we added that. So we hit play. And you can see everything is already set and done. Here's us going across the bridge. Here comes the little title. And let's say you want to add audio. Again, just drag and drop to your audio section. You can already hear I've used this. If you've watched my past videos, you know I've used this quite a bit. And it's good stock music. I mean, it's not bad. Gets the job done. Then once you're done editing and doing whatever you want, again, there's some backgrounds here, all stock, solids, overlays, frames. But once you're done with editing, you just come up and hit finish, export, and download your video, and you're good to go. And you can share it all over the place. You can share straight from wevideo. Since it is web-based, you do have that ability. So, you know, functionality-wise, it's easy to use. It's clean. I'm a fan. Okay, let me start by saying I'm already frustrated with DaVinci, and I'm sorry to the gentleman who first turned me on to the DaVinci software, but there's certain things that are frustrating me right now. Like, for example, I cannot minimize this software. I have to do a hard quit of it, and I can no longer. When I first had it on here, it was minimized. Now I can't seem to figure that out. And it actually, a second ago, shut my Mac down. So you can understand my frustration. I also can't move it over to my dual monitor. Why? Who the heck knows? But it's already on my list of going to be immediately removed from my computer ASAP. Now, that being said, let's take a look at how to add content to DaVinci Resolve. First, you click this Import Media button right here. The other thing to note is they only want to do access via one file on your computer. So all of your video will have to be moved to that said file in order for DaVinci to access it. So we take that and we hit open. It'll then bring it in, and it brings it in immediately. You're taking it right from the computer and putting it right on the software that's on the computer, so that makes sense. You then take it and drag and drop it down. You can see I'm just already not a fan. And this is one of the biggest aspects that I don't like, is this kind of, I call it the dual view. You have this timeline here and this timeline where you're actually doing your editing here. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it just does. Now, One of the things I love about Final Cut that I also like about DaVinci is your cuts are down to the second. As you can see, as I scroll across, we are going right through second by second, and it's very clean and exact. Now, we're going to go into the trim portion of this. Okay, so what I just used is this scissor tool where it splits the clips. And then you can come through again, find the exact spot you want to clip again. And now we have our little snippet here of what we want to get rid of. So this is what we wanted to delete. And instead of right-clicking or dragging and dropping like we did there, you can see I'm still working on learning this. You just hit delete, it's gone. We then bring this together. Now the other thing we wanted to do was add a title screen. So we go to titles. Again, look, there's a ton of options here. Now, one of the things I don't love is it doesn't have like a little viewer where you can see what it is ahead of time like you can on wevideo and on Final Cut Pro. So let's take big and small text. And we go to the front here. Ooh. Now here's where I have to learn how to use this software. How do we edit you? See, this is what I mean by when I said it's not user-friendly right off the bat. Right off the bat, the other options, you know exactly what you're working with. But on here, it's not as clean. Here's what you got to do. After much trial by fire here. So when you first come onto here, your view is like this right here. We went to add the title. What you have to do is go to this edit tool at the bottom here. And then from there, you'll be able to click on the title itself, go up to inspector, and then you'll be able to make the changes you want to make. Big text. We want the big text to be video editing software. Okay, we're fine with all the text. It took me too long to get here. Small text. Kevin is testing. Text placement, you can choose where it goes. Rim light controls, that's pretty cool. You have lighting controls and everything else. So that is there now, and I'm terrified to almost do this, but now we want to add, where's where we were? Okay, we were here. Now we just want to add, instead of a title, just a bit of text. But again, you can't like lower third right about here. Okay, so we go to this one, inspector, and go Kevin Gallagher business development. Text. And again, you can do, you know, a lot of different stuff with it, but let's just call it for what it is. And then the last thing, so we added content, we dropped the video in. We have not been doing this, but let's do it now if I don't want to shoot myself for how this is going already, but we want to add some type of a sound. Now, in DaVinci, there is no stock music or sound. Correct me if I'm wrong, comment below if I'm wrong, but it does not appear in DaVinci that there is free background music options for what you want to do. If you want to add sound, you would have to bring in your own sound. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we've done. Kevin is testing video editing software. Okay, I can honestly say you can mute it just like I did right there, so that's pretty cool. Title came up. We had taken a snippet out. And that is that for DaVinci. Let's take a look at Final Cut Pro. And the first thing I have to do is quit DaVinci Resolve. Don't save. I don't want anything from you on my computer, please. Final Cut Pro X. Let's pull this up. So this is Final Cut Pro X. Now, let me just say again, we didn't do a fair comparison of DaVinci. DaVinci does have a paid product that I'm sure is better than the free product, but let me tell you right now, that free product is so bad. I'm sorry to the subscriber that commented and gave me the tip. I'm definitely not going to be using DaVinci. I would rather pay for something and get something a little bit better. I'm sorry, I did not have as good of an experience. I've clipped out all of my anger. There was a good like 2 to 3 minutes of anger I had with DaVinci, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But all in all, I was not a fan. So let's come into Final Cut Pro X and take a look at the functionality of how this one works. Now, right off the bat, you'll see it's very similar to the other ones. The layout is very similar, but I think what you're going to notice as we go through the process here, it is extremely easy and simple to add media, to work in it. It's just as simple for me as wevideo, but that's also because I already understand the software. So let's first come over to media here. So this is where our media library is. If you want to add media to it, you would simply just come into here. We have desktop. What is this movie? Here is the media that we want. We import that. Boom, it's right in. Now, one of the other cool things that I want to tell you about with this is you can actually easily come into your photos by accessing here. So if you just take all of your let's say you're shooting from a Canon camera or a Nikon or something like that, and you take the SD card, you could drop that into your photos on your computer, and then you can easily access all of that right from here. One of the big plus points of Final Cut Pro is that it integrates with the Apple machine, and it's a really cool product. But in this case, we imported the media, we drag it, and we drop. We drag it and we drop it down into our timeline. Okay. Now you see, just like on DaVinci, you could get your cuts so clean. So let's say again we want to cut out the end right here. We can then take our little cursor tool here, switch it to blade, get right on top of the line and snip. Switch it back to your select tool, delete it out. That is how fast it is to delete out that bit. Now, let's say you just want to remove sound. Your controls for your clip, they're not hidden like they were on DaVinci. They're nice. You don't have to double click like you did on wevideo. It's just right here, drag and drop, take the sound completely out. That's pretty cool, right? I like that a lot. There's other aspects that you can change about it as well. You could come over here and change the opacity. So if you wanted it a video on top of something else, make a cool look, you could do that here. Transform, crop, distort. There's all these things that you could be doing for your project. Change the color, the hue, the whole nine. You could do all that from Final Cut Pro. You can also do all that from DaVinci. You could change the coloring and do some of that on wevideo, but there's just a little bit less from a functionality standpoint. But again, wevideo I like, Final Cut Pro I like, and I'll tell you in the end which one I'm swaying towards. But we've done this. Now we want to add a title. So we have the titles here, which if you open up and drop it down, there are a ton. I mean, you can have credits. You can have the Star Wars theme. Just take a look, and look, you can see an example of each one. Let's use this one. This one's pretty cool. Drag it, drop it, click on it, come up over here. This is, and I'm learning this while I'm with you. I mean, we're working on this together. I'm not doing this out of order or being unfair to DaVinci. I don't want it to seem like that. I came into here and I am completely doing this by the seat of my pants. Kevin tests video software. You could then come in here, change the orientation, change the size, so on and so forth. Bring this back, we hit play. Okay, so in this case, that did not work out as well. So bring it on back. We hit play. So you would definitely have to choose the title that makes most sense. Oh, you know what you could do? You could overlay additional text onto here if you wanted to. So you can You can call this video software. You could take this, you could drop this over top. Oh, there we go. Kevin tests. So you can see, again, very basic, simple to use. I mean, I've had a little hiccup, but I'm learning it on the fly. We hit play, Kevin tests, video software comes right up. So this particular title that I chose, yes, it's going to require some messing around with. And again, these are all stock ones, but you can see how pretty basic and easy it is to use. And again, there's countless options as to what you can use. Now, let's come over to music and sound. So we added content, we trimmed the video, we've added a video with a title because we did both on the same spot. And a title and a snippet of text. And now we want to add music. So these are songs that I put in there before. So there's no stock music like there was on wevideo. So that's a win for wevideo, stock music. The other two did not have that. But on here there is a ton of stock sound effects. So if you wanted a little ding to come up when something goes on in the background or whatever it might be, you could do that. And you can just easily just click it and listen to it. You want background voices, you got that. There's so many options as to what to do. But you can also use GarageBand. If you want to integrate GarageBand into your video, you can do that. You can easily make a beat on GarageBand, save it, and it'll come right in. But in this case, let's add Get Himself a Day Job. I used this on a past video. Again, we bring this back to start. We hit play, and let's see how it went. So I would say that was a win. So in close, where does my new loyalty land? So right off the bat, I want to go through a comparison of what I consider the wins to be. So first off, let's start with wevideo. Easy to use. You get stock music, as well as if you can't afford to pay one big upfront fee of $300, there is a subscription service available. But just know, people, if you get a subscription service, you're going to pay more long term. So from a budgetary standpoint, it makes more sense to go with a DaVinci or a Final Cut. Those two just make a little bit more sense. But again, if you need to, that's there. So the three high points with wevideo: easy to use, stock music, subscription service if that's what you need to do. DaVinci, I'm so sorry. I don't have too. Listen, if you're with DaVinci Resolve and you would like me to take a bigger test drive of your product, send me a free trial. I will download it. I will do the whole thing. I will take it for a test run. And if it goes as easy as it does, I will make a video saying, hey, my bad, I was wrong. However, it crashed my machine. And it was not as simple to use, especially that free version just was not as easy to use. And I can't imagine that ease increases when you go to the studio option, though I do feel, I'm going to give you three positives here. Very professional environment. If you're somebody who is a professional video editor, DaVinci's probably a great place for you. You probably love it. Price low to me, $300, not that bad for all time. $300 is beautiful. And the third thing was upload speed. The second you put it on there, it's there. Huge negative detractor for cloud-based is the upload time. It's terrible. Just terrible. Don't do it. The third one was Final Cut Pro X. I'm giving them five positives. Upload speed, just like DaVinci, super fast. Huge ease of use. Does take time to learn. Some of the different titles work in different ways, so on and so forth. But it is, from a professional working piece of software, it does have a massive ease of use feeling when you're in it. Tons of options, free 30-day trial period, and a low price. people, I got to give the edge and the win to Final Cut Pro X. So that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. I'm willing to bet if you do a search right now for what most vloggers are using, Final Cut Pro X is going to be the product that you're going to see. It is now where my new loyalty is going to. I am going to, as soon as I finish shooting this right now, I'm going to cancel my wevideo subscription, which I'm sweating a little bit because it's become very easy, but I'm going to be switching over to Final Cut, so this video itself will be made with Final Cut. But no matter what, I think you're going to see that Final Cut Pro is going to be, especially if you're running off of Apple, MacBook, Mac Pro, whatever it might be, a much more integrated, easy to use software for video editing. I wish you all the best. Small business owners, be small, think big. Have a great day, y'all. Take care.